Welcome to the UC Berkeley Campus Ambassador Student Panel this wonderful day. It's a beautiful day out today. It's been a really nice day, but we've got a really great panel for you all today, so we're gonna get started. So first, I'm just gonna introduce myself. My name is Kaelyn. I'll be your moderator today. Basically, all that means is that I'm gonna be asking our lovely panelists some questions and maybe adding my own input every once in a while. But I am a senior here at Cal. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Ojai, California, which for those of you who don't know, is near Santa Barbara area, kind of near LA. If you really don't know your Southern California geography, I got you covered because that is one of my majors, geography and society and environment. A little bit about my involvement here at Cal. I've done a ton of different things. One of the things I'm most proud of is being involved in the Queer Alliance Resource Center, or QARC for short. I've been involved in student government, community service, entrepreneurship. Hilti North America is where I'm going to be working after graduation. So if any of you know anything about that or the construction industry, that's where my heart is right now. I'm also the Cal Parents and Families intern. Congratulations to new admits. That is a huge, incredible feat that you all did. Just want to really give you a round of applause today. You all deserve it. You all just, oh my goodness, really pat yourself on the back, acknowledge the work that you've already done, and get excited for what's to come. You're gonna crush it as you already have. Just a little bit of some information, some logistics about how our panel is gonna work today. This is a 1 hour long session. We're gonna be here for the full hour. However, you stay as long as you like. Leave if you need to, come in as you want to, but please stay engaged. We have really great panelists today, and I'm so confident that you're gonna wanna stay the full time. I know I would, even if I wasn't on this panel. Our chat is disabled today, so that means that you can't talk to us through the chat. However, if you want to ask any questions, which we highly encourage you to do so, please type those in the Q&A. I will be looking at them, marking ones live. So if you have a really itching question that you're super excited for our panelists to answer, or if you want to have a specific panelist answer that, please put that in the Q&A. The more questions, the better. It makes our job so much more fun. And we'll actually get to answer things that you're excited about. With that, I'm going to pass it on to today's ambassadors.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kenzie. I'm one of the first ambassadors on our panel today. We, like was already said, we have a wonderful panel today, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. I use the she, her pronouns. I'm originally from San Francisco, California. So as you can imagine, I didn't go too far away from college, but that's one of my favorite aspects of UC Berkeley is its proximity to my hometown and a phenomenal city of San Francisco. I'm also a senior. I'm studying molecular environmental biology in our College of Natural Resources. I'm also pursuing a minor in what's known as Cal Teach, which is math and science education. So my intention is to become a high school science teacher after I graduate. I'm also involved in superb comedy. Sadly, that doesn't mean I perform any comedy. Rather, we hire comedians to come to campus and perform. For example, previously we've had Zach Fox come and perform, and writers from Netflix show Big Mouth, and also SNL castmates. Additionally, I'm also done a variety of different forms of research here at UC Berkeley's campus, both molecularly in the molecular biology side of my major, and also in education, which relates more to my minor. So I just like to emphasize that we have education in a realm of different fields, not just in the STEM field. And if you have any questions about research, I'm more than happy to answer them. And then lastly, I just got back from studying abroad in the Netherlands this past semester. So if you have any questions about study abroad, I'd love to answer them.
Hello, everyone. I am your second panelist for today, and I'm also from the Bay down south from Milpitas, California. My name is Ziyuan, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am also a senior studying mechanical engineering, and some of the things I've been involved with in my time at Cal include the Fung Fellowship on the Health and Technology track, where we practiced human-centered design. I also worked in the orthopedic biomechanics lab for a little bit, and I am a reader at our Haas School of Business for a finance class. I'm also part of Greek Life and Enable Tech, which is a club that builds assistive technology, innovative design, where we do graphic design, and invention pillar, where we do human-centered design. So you can see that I really, really like design, and I've tried to be involved throughout the 4 years I've been here. And I know I just listed a bunch of things, but it's totally okay if you're not super involved right off the bat. I've had 4 years to see what I like, see what clicks for me, and you will too. So go ahead. And next we have Ethan.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, I'm your final panelist today. My name is Ethan. I use the he and they series of pronouns. I am a first year from Spring Valley, California, which is in East County, San Diego. Shout out to my San Diego natives here. I am an intended triple major, political science, ethnic studies, and social welfare with minors in education, psychology, and dance. I'm super involved in our campus, already coming straight in. I am a part of Aspiring Educators at Berkeley, a new club on campus dedicated to those who want to go into public education. I am involved also in student government on campus, Gen Up Collegiate, and I'm also a dancer. I dance Ballet Folklorico here at Cal. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Apologies for the little technological hiccup. It's our first time back on these panels in a while. We've been giving a lot of in-person stuff, which has been awesome, but do apologize for the technological hiccups. That's totally my bad. With that, we're going to go into our first set of questions. The first one will be for Kenzie. Does the size of UC Berkeley make it intimidating to navigate socially? It's a question I constantly get on tours, so please give us your perspective.
Honestly, like I thought that the size would make it pretty intimidating coming into Berkeley, but in my experience, I found that it's actually kind of made it even easier or more of a flourishing social environment. What I mean by that is that because UC Berkeley has such a large size, you really are able to find people with a similar interest to you and really make those connections right off the bat. As you've noticed probably from our panel so far, is like all of us are involved in such different things and connect to people through those different involvements here on our campus. With our size, we have over 1,000 different organizations. And so you're able to really find that organization that really clicks with you and something that really hits home and something that you're interested in. And when you already have that commonality, making a friend is just like so easy right off the bat, I think. Additionally, when it comes to Berkeley, everyone here is aware of the size and all of us kind of want the same thing, to make friends. And so even in my largest classes, for example, one of my intro biology classes had about 300 students. I know that's pretty large. And so that was pretty intimidating walking in the first day, but literally the first person I sat next to and started talking to was one of my best friends that I've known for the last 4 years. And it was really easy to open up conversation because we both really realized, hey, like our first years at this new university, that's already something to talk about and something to connect over. And the environment here is just super friendly. Everyone is seeking out a friend and wanting to connect with someone on the Berkeley campus. So I think those are my main two pieces of advice and parts about UC Berkeley is join that organization that you've always wanted to be a part of and connect to people with similar identities, but also don't be scared to reach out to someone else because we're all kind of going through this larger environment together. And so we're all like gonna wanna work together and click together and navigate this social environment together.
Heck yeah, that was a really great response. I absolutely agree with it. I came from a really small school, so I was no stranger to the fear of it being too big of a campus. It certainly was not. Like Kenzie said, it's actually an advantage, if anything. So we're going to move on to our next question, which was a question from one of you all. Any of our ambassadors can answer this. How can we become a Berkeley ambassador? That's like the best question we've ever gotten. So anyone who wants to jump in, just go for it.
I'll take this one real quick. I'll start off. So I'm actually doing my first semester as a campus ambassador and I do not regret it at all. I met so many great people. You can become an ambassador and fill in the gaps for me seniors if I miss a couple of things, but the application period started, I believe, prior to the end of our fall semester. And then we submitted our applications. You had to do like a video and some written responses. And then we waited all of winter break and then we were invited for auditions in spring. at the start of the spring semester, and then we had training all throughout. Once you were hired, you get trained all throughout, and it's a super cool opportunity to just get involved, and you get to learn a lot about UC Berkeley as well. It's super, super cool, and it's open to all different majors, all different all different study programs that you're eligible for. And yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, just to jump in, for anyone interested, I think this is one of the best campus jobs there is, because you really get to make it your own. And one fun thing is like panels like this, where I get to relate to everyone and talk about my own experience here at UC Berkeley. And so it's very exciting. Additionally, just want to highlight that Campus Ambassador, you can use it can be applied to work study if you are a part of work study here at UC Berkeley. It's one of many jobs that can apply to work study. So you could also work, for example, in one of our campus libraries or at the gym here on campus. But I will say Campus Ambassador, getting to meet people from all around the world who come to explore UC Berkeley's campus, you really can't beat that when it comes to a campus job, I think.
Also, just to add on to that, it's such a coincidence that Ethan applied in his freshman year, because me and Kenzie also applied in our freshman year because we were in the same hiring class, and we're both seniors now. So you can tell that we've stayed ever since. And just to give like a high level overview of the job, like we give tours on campus. So that includes like group tours, like high school tours, as well as general walking tours as well, and admit tours now during admission season. And we also work at the Campanile, which you'll see in Kaelyn's background. So that's our clock and bell tower that is central to our campus, and you'll see us working there as well, in addition to the Correct Visitor Center. So if you ever visit us on campus, you'll see us checking people in for tours at the Visitor Center. So yeah, love it, highly recommend the job.
I absolutely agree. It is one of the best on-campus jobs without a doubt. Everyone is awesome, especially these three right here. Absolutely love hanging out with all of them. Very, very grateful to have been able to meet them. So definitely apply. Yeah, just check back with us, basically. Check back on our website in a couple months, and we'll totally get you going. So I have kind of a two-parter question here, which is, I'm coming in as a transfer. Kenzie, what can you tell me about the Cal Teach program and the time commitment? And Ethan, please tell me about the Aspiring Educators Organization and Folklorica. So you two just talk about your specific extracurriculars. We'll start with you, Kenzie, and we'll move to Ethan.
Yeah, of course. I would love the opportunity to talk about the Cal Teach program. I've been a part of it for like the past 3 years. So Cal Teach, what it is actually a program that prepares you to get your teaching credential while you're here at UC Berkeley. So through the program, through pursuing the Cal Teach minor, you actually not only take classes such as research in education and adding historical context to education, things, and teaching in urban environments, things along those lines. Those are examples of certain classes that really give you like background research and understanding of the most innovative teaching that's happening teaching that's happening right now and how you can incorporate it into your own teaching. But you also, through the Cal Teach program, will get placed at different high schools or middle schools or even elementary schools around the Bay Area and practice teaching and work with great teachers in the community. And through doing this program, this minor, you're building those hours. So when you get to your senior year, for example, you can actually apply those hours to getting your teaching credential. So that's the program I'm in a part of now. I finished my Cal Teach minor, so now I'm in the Cal Teach credentialing program. I'm working in a local high school, just finishing up those finals hours and working with the support of the Cal Teach program to get my teaching credential. I will say Cal Teach is specifically for math and science educators. So you do have to have a math or science major to be able to participate in this particular program to get your teaching credential. And I did know transfer students who completed this timeline. The Cal Teach minor, I don't remember how many classes it is exactly, but I think it's either like 4 or 5. And that is very much doable within like 3 semesters. I actually started mine a little bit late. I started like my sophomore year, and then I just doubled up on classes, and it was very much doable to finish within the time I had. And I even studied abroad. So I even took a break for a semester. So as a transfer student, because the minor is relatively short, you definitely would be able to get to that credential program towards the end of your senior year. I highly recommend to check out the CalTeach website. It irons out exactly what your experience with this program would look like.
I will talk about aspiring educators and folklorico on campus. So our aspiring educators at Berkeley is actually a brand new club that was founded this semester. It is a new club run by what's known as the Student California Teachers Association. The SCTA is a basically a sub-branch of the giant California Teachers Association, and the California Teachers Association is a basically one of the largest labor unions in like the entire United States, and it's for our teachers all across the state of California. And then the student CTA is actually for those who want to go into education. And so our club is to help new students get involved in getting pre-educational opportunities here at UC Berkeley and within the community as well, whether that's working in tutoring or within like, you know, helping get through the credentialing program. And we have members that are not only in undergraduate, but also in the graduate program with our School of Education and doing the CalTeach program that Kenzie mentioned earlier. It's a super cool opportunity to get involved if you really want to get involved in education. You don't have to even like want to do teaching. You can do counseling or social work, anything like that too. It's open at every path that's in our educational spectrum. And then lastly, Folklorico is, we're actually a smaller group on campus. Ballet Folklorico Reflejos de Mexico is our group name here at UC Berkeley. It's a wonderful group on campus if you're really interested in getting more, learn about Mexican folkloric dance, learning more about Mexican history as well. Our practices are open to everybody. We have beginning and intermediate practices every week. And yeah, it's a super fun time to just get involved and get some really good exercise in as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, thank you both so much for answering such like specific and detailed questions. Thank you so much for also touching on the transfer experience. That's really, really important. So our next question is for Ziyuan, which is someone asked, what is there to do off campus, like in the city of Berkeley and the surrounding area?
Oh my gosh, there are so many things to do. And I like 4 years later, I still feel like I haven't done them all. So, and also like Kenzie and Ethan, I'm sure you have like a few like pics of your own, so feel free to hop in after. But just like in the city of Berkeley itself, there's so many, like if you like hiking, there's a bunch of trails. Like there's the Clark Kerr Fire Trails, which is behind one of our dorms. There's the Big C that I'm sure you'll go to during orientation. There's also like Tilden Regional Park, and like just a bunch of like nature or like scattered throughout the city. There's also a bunch of like cute cafes and just like really like quirky Berkeley like hole in the wall shops that you can visit. And I really just, once you come here, like it's just like, it's very different and it's hard to describe, but it's just like it really like Berkeley really grows on you. And in addition to like those things you can do in Berkeley, there's also, we're really close to the city, of course, of San Francisco. And so in San Francisco, it's so easy to get there as well, because when you come here as a student, you get a Clipper card, and that lets you ride the BART, which is the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, and you can just hop over to San Francisco in like 30 to 40 minutes. And in San Francisco, you can like hang out around the city. There's like mini golf, there's Golden Gate Park. Sutro Baths is like a really nice place to watch the sunset. And there's like roller skating as well. There's like just so many things that like are, again, like unique to San Francisco. And it's really nice to be able to like be so close to the city, but also live in like a college town. And it's really up to you. You can just like go there on the weekends. And we're also close to Oakland, and the food in Oakland is immaculate. And like the food honestly in Berkeley is also immaculate. It's like so good. And like the restaurants here are all like, I wish I'm moving out of Berkeley after I graduate, and I wish I could take them with me because I have so many like fond memories of them. But yeah, so Kenzie and Ethan, like feel free to hop in if you have any like recommendations about what to do.
Yeah, I can jump in really quick, and just adding on to what Ziyuan said is the food is phenomenal. And it makes it really hard not to eat out like every single day. There's just so many options and such diversity of food. Literally our campus is surrounded by different neighborhoods on like all three sides, and each neighborhood has its own like kind of culture of food type and like style of food. Like South Side of our campus is known for having more fast, easygoing, casual stuff. It has, for example, Artichoke's Pizza, which has my favorite pizza, Artichoke Pizza, which isn't something you would think would sound delicious, but it is so good. And then North Side has some of our more like refined restaurants. And actually it has a Michelin star restaurant that was actually started by Alice Waters, who led the movement to food to table. That was like a huge movement in the restaurant industry throughout the US, where it was all about bringing in food directly from the farm and serving it to patrons right away. And so that's where I'm trying to convince my parents to take me for graduation as a big celebration, because I think now is my chance to taste such a good restaurant, but also like an immaculate part of the Berkeley culture. We actually have a couple classes that talk about Alice Waters and the food to table movement, just to highlight the diverse classes that UC Berkeley has to offer. And then just one other thing to mention, something personally that I love about the Bay Area is concerts and concert venues. UC Berkeley, we have the Greek Theater that's literally like located right above our campus. John Mulaney is coming and performing there later this week. So some of the best artists come through the Greek Theater, and it's just, it's a small enough venue that you really can get up close and personal with the artists. But also San Francisco has a variety of small venues where you can buy tickets to concerts for maybe like $10, $15. And that's my go-to weekend planned. And I have probably gone to like 5 concerts this semester, and you just can see all these small artists and just spend your time exploring the city after you go to those concerts. So it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, also just to quickly add on to more fun things in the Bay Area, if you're at all into like drag shows and stuff, like there are so many from the Bay. Like we have such a strong drag queen culture here. Like the runner-up for this season of RuPaul's Drag Race, not to be an absolute fan, is from the Bay Area and was all around the clubs and like the venues around here. So that is a fun thing to check out. There's a lot of, it's just, oh my goodness, it's so much fun. 10 out of 10 recommend. Love our queer culture here in the Bay Area. Definitely something I'm super, super proud of. But yeah, food also fantastic. So we're gonna move on to our next question. I do want to invite you all to ask questions in the Q&A. We have so many wonderful questions we've gotten from you all, but the more the better. Please make this panel for you. This is not about us, this is about you. So please make sure to ask as many questions as you have in the head of yours. I'm sure there are a ton. So please ask them. So our next question will be for Ethan, which is, how do you find your community at Cal? I think that's such a sweet question.
It is such a sweet question. And, you know, as a first year coming into like, from a kind of like a small town now into like this huge public university, I really did not know what I was getting myself into. I'll be very honest about that. But how I found my community here, and, you know, Kenzie and like all the other ambassadors can also jump in. How I found my community here, I like was actually through my dorm. So I moved into the dorms as a freshman, and I don't regret that at all. I love the dorm so much. My roommates are actually some of the closest friends I have. Like I was really lucky. I got really good roommates who are actually from Texas. And, you know, I was like their guide throughout the first couple of weeks. And then when I started walking on campus, you know, during the first week of classes on Sproul Plaza, you'll see all the different clubs kind of tabling and seeing like, you know, like what organizations are out there for you. And I kind of just like kept going through like Sproul, and I would pick up different flyers. I get flyers like literally handed it to me, and I would just go to informational sessions and see where my vibe was, and then finally just stuck with places that I really felt like I wanted to be a part of. And for me, that was student government and a lot of like aspiring educators organizations, or like people who want to go into education. That's how I found my community here, was just honestly just searching it out and like really seeing like what was there for me. And then I don't know, Kenzie or any of the other ambassadors want to add on to that.
Yeah, the dorms, I just want to highlight exactly like Ethan said, it's where a couple of my best friends, my roommate now I met him in the dorm, known him from the last 4 years. We live in a private apartment now, but I met him through the dorms. It's so much fun living in the dorms, and everyone is, like I said, the Berkeley community is so welcoming, and it's reflected in the dorms. Like during the first couple of weeks of school, people would leave their doors open so we could just kind of walk into each other's rooms and start a conversation. I had a friend who would play the guitar and start like serenading us from his dorm room, and that was just like a good a way to end your night before going to sleep, right? Is have one of your friends serenade you in the dorms. Also, Golden Bear Orientation is a week-long program leading up to, that's for both freshmen and transfer students, that's leading up to your first week of school. So it's like a week long, and it usually is organized based off of dorms and also, or being commuter students, just so extending that community further. And through Golden Bear Orientation, not only do you get connected to like different resources, a Golden Bear orientation is led by either sophomore, junior, or senior students. So they really know the ins and outs of our UC Berkeley community. And so they can connect you not only to resources like the Career Center or talk about how to pick classes, things along those lines. But then you also do a lot of like super fun activities, like going to the Exploratorium, which is a museum in San Francisco right on the bay. A huge science museum, or taking a ferry ride through the bay, climbing the Big C, things along those lines. And so you have a whole week long of this orientation that really transitions you into starting UC Berkeley. And so you can start making those communities, those connections right off the bat.
Awesome. Heck yeah. So we're going to go to our next question, which I think is a really cool, like kind of logistical question, as well as kind of, I don't know, it's a fun balance of things. So I'll just ask the question rather than talking about it. How many course credits do you need to take every semester? And with that, do you get time to actually do your extracurriculars while taking your course loads? Oh, and we're going to ask Ziyuan that first.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. And it really depends on how many like units. So we call them units. You need 120 units to graduate. So it really depends on like which college you're in, but usually it's around 12 to 13 units per semester. And that's around, I don't know, like 3 to 5 classes, depending on how many like technicals. Technicals are like really hard classes. So the units reflect like how much time you're going to spend in the class each week. So like depending on like how many like requirements you decide to take versus like, and you can do like a mix of both requirements and electives that like still help you like progress in your major, or just like classes that you find interesting. Like for example, like I don't know if Kenzie was talking, like I don't know if Kenzie was referring to this earlier, but I'm taking edible education, which is founded by Alice Waters. Exactly. So she was the one that like brought the farm to table, and so I'm actually taking that class. That has nothing to do with my major, but it is a very enlightening class and I would highly recommend it. And it's like you have time to like really customize your schedule, and I would recommend meeting with your advisor just so like you know that you're still like making good progress toward like graduating and things. But one piece of like senior advice, like, and like just as a student who's been here, use Google Calendar. Everybody uses Google Calendar, and like you're going to use it for all of your club events. You're going to use it for your classes. People like, if they like, sometimes my friends like want to hang out with me and they're like, I'm going to send you a BCal invite, which is like a Berkeley like Google Calendar invite. And it's like, it really helps you manage your time. And it's really nice to build those. Like, I know this sounds like, I don't know, like boring, but it's really good to build those habits early, because that's what gives you time to like do extracurriculars and do the things that you like really, really enjoy. And like, do you get time? Yes, if you make time, but also like it is pretty easy to just like make time to do extracurriculars. And there's so many, there's like over 1,000, and you can join, and a lot of them meet at night. So you'll have classes during the day, and like a lot of them, for example, like if you were to join a dance team, there are so many dance teams here, but like they usually practice at night around like 5 or 6 or like near sunset, and that's so that everyone can attend practice. And it's really, really fun. There are dance teams, cultural clubs, competition teams. There's like, just like, I don't even know how to just like categorize superb comedy, because it's just like such a like niche club, but like there's literally anything that you can think of, like there probably is a club for it. And like personally, I really love graphic design, and it's like, it doesn't really relate to my major. It's just like a hobby I really like to do on my like on the side. And so I took a decal, and decal stands for like, decals are like student taught classes, and it taught me like Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, and that really helped me in like innovative design, which is a graphic design club. And now I just like do design on the side for fun. I always like, after learning Photoshop, I always like threaten my friends like, oh, I'm gonna Photoshop you out of pictures if I don't like you. No, I never do that though, but it's just like, it's really, you gain all these like, by joining clubs, you not only find people with like common interests, and it's like a great way to build community too, but you also like can also like build skills. And even if you don't, like it's just a fun time, you know? So yes.
Yeah, really, really appreciate that answer. One thing that I just want to add really quickly as my perspective as a senior is that you will figure out how much time you have for everything, because everything takes different amounts of time, and you'll figure out what your priorities are. I was like crazy super involved in clubs my freshman and sophomore year, and then I realized that there were other things that I wanted to spend more time on towards my senior year. So feel free to experiment and feel free to like make mistakes and everything. Like that's totally okay too. Don't stress out and have like a set number, because I feel like everything will just kind of work its way out as you grow and as you learn. So our next question will be for Kenzie, which is, do you all know any pre-meds? What's their experience with workload? Do a lot of people drop out of pre-med? What are their pre-med clubs? So Kenzie, I know you have some experience with this, if you want to just talk briefly about it.
Yeah, so I feel like as a bio major, we all go through a phase sometimes of considering being pre-med. And I did go through that phase my sophomore year before I found my more true calling to me, which was teaching. But in addition to that, my roommate from last year, she's pre-med, and one of my best friends from high school who also goes to UC Berkeley, she is a senior like I am, and she's on that pre-med path. So I have some background understanding of pre-med because there is a pretty strong pre-med community here at UC Berkeley. There is a fair amount of students pursuing pre-med, the pre-med path. Just to highlight, just to emphasize, when it comes to being pre-med, we don't have a pre-med major, so you just choose your major and then make sure as you work through UC Berkeley, you're taking the classes that are necessary to then apply to medical school. So I actually know, I met someone who was a philosophy major who is actually on the pre-med path, but he just is checking in with advisors that we have to make sure he's taking the classes on top of his philosophy major that align with the pre-med path. And what you might have heard I mentioned, like advisors, one thing I want to emphasize is our career center has an entire office dedicated to pre-med and an entire website dedicated to the pre-med path. And when I was considering becoming pre-med, I was actually looking more towards physician's assistant, which is like even more specific of a path than maybe medical school, the general medical school. And they had an entire webpage dedicated to that. And it ironed out every single class that I needed to take as a UC Berkeley student. So I highly, highly recommend checking out the Career Center's pre-med department, and you can set up meetings. I met with the advisor and she really talked it through with me, not only like, hey, is pre-med really the path for you, but also like, these are the things you would have to do to complete that by the time of your senior year, along with like connecting you to internships. So our Career Center, not only for pre-med, but just in general, has huge connections to different internships around the Bay Area. Like we have Silicon Valley right next to us, but additionally for pre-med, we're right next to UCSF. So a lot of students get involved in UCSF and doing research over there, or that hospital getting involved over there. And so they're ready and happy to support you. When it comes to clubs and like extracurriculars about pre-med, my friend from high school, she's in a pre-med fraternity actually, which might be a little bit different than what you assume a fraternity is. So UC Berkeley has fraternities that aren't necessarily are more professional fraternities, they're referred to, where it has the networking aspect of fraternities, but not necessarily like the house that you would live in and all of that. And so she's loved that because not only has it given her a really close-knit community where they can really talk about their experience through pre-med here at UC Berkeley, but also it again has that networking aspect, connecting students to internships and different opportunities. There's so many opportunities here at UC Berkeley, especially for pre-med students. And I just also want to highlight, I know the question asked about a lot of people dropping out of pre-med. In my experience, all of my friends that I've known who are on that pre-med path and really know that's the path for them haven't dropped out because I think it is a very supportive and collaborative community. I know there's a fear of like competitiveness when it comes to being pre-med, but I think from my experience with that community is they've all realized that like working together and like supporting one another and studying together for the MCAT or talking to each other about which classes they want to take next and what to take as together. If they do supporting mechanisms like that, they're all going to be successful rather than trying to like cut each other down and compete with one another. So it is a really collaborative community and a very strong community here at UC Berkeley.
I absolutely agree with everything you just said. I think collaboration over competition is definitely the mantra of Berkeley. There was a quick question that I was hoping you could just add on to, Kenzie, really quickly. UC Berkeley doesn't have a medical school. Is it still worth it to go to UC Berkeley as an undergraduate doing pre-med if we don't have a medical school?
Oh, definitely. Like I highlighted, we're like literally 30 minutes away by bus or by Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is actually a train that goes under the ocean, fun fact, but it goes from Berkeley to San Francisco. And so like 30 minutes to an hour, you're already in San Francisco where UCSF is located, which is one of those top medical schools in the country. But additionally, we have so many different clubs and different organizations dedicated to connecting students to internships and working at hospitals. A lot of my friends who are pre-med have enjoyed their experience here at UC Berkeley phenomenally because they've volunteered at local hospitals. We are an urban center, and so of course we're going to have a variety of different hospitals here that students can volunteer at or work at, not just UCSF, and get that experience that sometimes medical schools are looking for that way. Additionally, another one I want to highlight is we actually even have like one of the clubs that my roommate was a part of was dedicated to Filipino students who were pursuing pre-med paths. And so there's also a big uplifting of people of color being part of the UC Berkeley pre-med community and making sure they are part and represented in the pre-med sector here at UC Berkeley, but also beyond. And so I think that is just something I wanted to highlight briefly.
Thank you so much for that answer. And also, I recently found out that there is a Master of Public Health / MD dual program between UC Berkeley's Public Health School as well as UCSF. So even if you're not necessarily doing medical school at Berkeley, we still have a lot of like medical adjacent fields that you can totally work within your medical school degree as well. So that's just something I think is really, really cool. We have a ton of opportunities. Don't be discouraged. Also, chances are you're probably not going to go to the same med school as you went for undergrad. So that's another thing to consider. Don't worry so much about it. You're an undergrad. It's okay. So our next question is for Ethan. I'm a history major, potentially history or history double major. Would you know some benefits of choosing Berkeley as a humanities student? I know, Ethan, you're a social science student. I'm a social science student as well. I feel like we don't get talked about enough. So why don't you kind of share your experience? I'd also be happy to add on a little bit towards the end as well.
A great question. So actually humanities at Berkeley, because a lot of my friends are like English, film, media studies. I actually have a friend who's actually in the history of art program here at Berkeley, and they absolutely love it. The humanities are super great here. A lot of my friends are also in like philosophy and rhetoric here as well at Berkeley. And it's a really great school for humanities and also for social science. My experience as a social science major though has been absolutely phenomenal because for example, like one of my majors is ethnic studies, and ethnic studies is actually what I like to say is a very good combination of both the humanities and social science, because not only are we dealing with the social science aspect of race ethnicity, but we're also dealing with the humanities aspect, whether that's art, literature, things like that. And it's and like taking those classes in like Chicano art history or literature from the ethnic studies movement or anything like that. It's just so cool for all these classes to just really get a really good knowledge about a wide variety of topics, and the humanities are so expansive here as well. I also dance for our theater department here at Cal, and it's a part of our arts and humanities here. And it's super, super amazing because we also do a lot of performance studies and learning more about like, you know, what performance is in the sense of culture. It's just awesome. And, you know, as a history or as a art, or maybe even an art history double with that, it's a super cool opportunity to just really like get more out of your education at Cal by coming for humanities. And then Kaelyn, if you want to add anything else.
I think the social sciences and the humanities are so underrated. We have so many research opportunities that people don't even think about. History is actually the department with the largest amount of research opportunities. Also, just the classes are so cool. Like, I took 2 social science majors because I thought the classes were that interesting. Yeah, like we are a big STEM school, absolutely, but humanities and social sciences absolutely rock. I've had the best experience. I'm so proud to be graduating with my social science degrees. Go Bears. And I realized I get to answer or ask the next question because I'm the moderator. Great. So our next question is for Ziyuan. So I've done some research on SHIP. What exactly is that, and what are the health services offered on campus? Slash, how do you navigate that as like a student?
Yeah, for sure. So SHIP is our student health insurance plan. It's SHIP, student health insurance plan. All students are required to have insurance when they come to campus. And so it's just like to make sure you're like protected, healthy, and safe. And SHIP covers like all of like the university services. So for example, that can be like physician services. You can also have counseling services. We also have free COVID testing for all students, at least until the end of the semester. Also, all of our health services, the university health services, are located in the Tang Center. And I found out last semester that they also have urgent care because I was sent to urgent care when I fell off my skateboard. And so when you actually go to urgent care, they're really sweet, actually. Everyone was really, really nice to me. I had a great experience, 10 out of 10, besides the fact that I was injured. But they have like an urgent care in case like anything happens. They also apparently have a radiology department, so you can also get an x-ray there, because that's what I did. And then so all of these services, including your like usual primary physician services, are encapsulated in university health services. We also have an optometry on campus. And so that includes like eye exams, like prescriptions, getting glasses as well. And that's our university optometry clinic. And that's also just right on campus as well. Not like necessarily in the same area, but it's nice that we can like walk to all of these services within like just a few minutes. And yeah, really nice. Stay healthy. We also have, I'll talk a little bit about safety because I'm sure some people are concerned. And so like we have like a bunch of safety services in place. So we have like over like 100 blue light emergency poles, and like those are like, in the case of an emergency, you can use those to call UCPD to your location. We also have like a text notification system called Wormy to alert students in the case of any like threat to the campus, so everyone stays informed. And we also have like different like night services. So if you want to like, if you stay studying like at a library, and some of our libraries are open like 24 hours. And like, so if you stay like, especially in finals week or midterm season, if you stay up like late, like studying at a library, you have like Bear Walk as well as like the night shuttle to take you back home. So you will always be cared for.
Heck yeah, no, Berkeley has a huge culture of caring. I will say one of the underutilized resources that I really like is the advice nurse. I called them when I was freaking out. I got a concussion over summer and I was worried that because like my eye was twitching for like a week after, and I called and got some advice on it because it wasn't serious enough to actually go in. I was just having anxiety over it. So go Bears to that. The advice nurse is great for that if you just are anxious like me. So I accidentally muted myself. Okay, our next question will be for the wonderful, wonderful Kenzie. Thank you so much for letting me know that I was unmuted. I did not realize. Can you please tell us about undergraduate research opportunities at Cal? Are they very competitive and hard to get into? Are they limited only to summer, or are they year-round? If you could answer this quickly so we can get to another question.
Yeah, of course. I would love to highlight our research programs. I've been involved, like I said, in both a molecular biology lab. I was actually studying Hawaiian spider evolution. Sadly, I didn't get to go to Hawaii and collect the Hawaiian spiders myself, but I did get to study them once they were back in Berkeley. And then I also was a part of a research project over at a graduate school of education. And something I want to highlight that I think was mentioned a little bit earlier is our history department is actually our largest department of research. Like I said, education, which is more of a humanities area of study, is where I got involved in research also. So you don't necessarily have to be involved in the STEM to get involved in research. The research culture is very profound here at UC Berkeley, and there's so many opportunities. Because there are so many opportunities, I think that's why it's not terribly challenging to get involved in research. I got involved studying Hawaiian spider evolution as a sophomore. When my friends got involved in research as a freshman, she'd taken a total of 4 classes here at UC Berkeley, and all of those being like general chemistry and general calculus. So like not an expertise necessarily in any lab techniques, but already was getting involved in top world research here at UC Berkeley. And that's because I think UC Berkeley emphasizes with its research, like teaching us the strategies to become great change makers and like involved in research going forward, rather than requiring like a long list of techniques before we even enter the research sector. One example would be URAP, which is Undergraduate Research Apprenticeship Program. This is a website where faculty and professors will post their research and you as a student can apply. And usually when it lists like qualifications, the qualifications, for example, for my Hawaiian spider lab was enthusiastic to learn about evolutionary biology, wanting to get involved in a lab focusing on molecular biology techniques, not afraid of spiders. I think that one was more specific to my labs particularly, but I think that's a commonality where these qualifications are pretty mostly about being enthusiastic and wanting to get involved in research instead of having like a long list going in. Another way you can get involved in research is kind of just going up to your professors or your instructors, your graduate student instructors, and asking if you hear that they're doing research that you're really interested in. For my education research, literally my graduate student instructor, my teacher, reached out to the community and was like, hey, I'm doing this study. And I, through interviewing prospective new student teachers and like their responses to various questions, does anyone want to get involved in doing analyst work on this? And I said, yes, please. I want to see what the education side is like in terms of research. And so that's how I get involved in graduate school level research at our Graduate School of Education. So like I'm saying, it's kind of just, if you seek out those opportunities, they're plentiful and really not super competitive to get involved in.
Yeah, so real fast, our last question of the day, because I love hearing us talk about our work. Let's talk a little bit more about campus jobs. We were asked a question about, are there non-work study opportunities? Is work study kind of the only way to get involved in that? I'm gonna hand that over to Ziyuan. If you could just talk a little bit about campus work opportunities.
Yeah, so I work 2 campus jobs, one of them being campus ambassador. And so we already talked a little bit about that earlier, so I'm just going to go into the other one. I also work as a reader or like a teaching assistant at our Hall School of Business. And I really just like came across that job by chance because I actually I ended up taking a finance class in my freshman year, and the professor like reached out to me about whether I would like to continue as a reader. So it's just like, it was for me like being at the right time at the right place. But I know you can also apply to these type of jobs. So especially like if you're taking like usually the requirement for being like a teaching assistant is just taking the class, and they will have like maybe at the end of the semester they'll be like, oh, we're looking for like teaching assistants, lab assistants, and this is like a paid job. Like they'll like clarify whether it's a paid job, and it's like even if it's not, like you might want that experience like if you want to like apply on your resume or something. But so like that's one way to get a job, is like to take the class and like possibly be a teaching assistant. I know that also like extends to like summer classes as well. There are also other work study jobs. So like you can work in the library. We have over 24 libraries and I've yet to go to them all. And but you can work in like circulation or at a front desk and just like check people in, have good vibes. You can also work at the dining halls. So and like you can, and that's part of like Cal dining. One of my friends actually works at like we have an international house, and she works at the international house dining hall, and like the food there I heard is really like it was on my senior bucket list to try and eat there once. And like she gets to, every time she gets off her shift, she gets to like eat a little bit of the food, and that's really nice, just because like I know I'm not super good at cooking, I'm not super good at like, so like being able to like eat that food is nice as well. So they all come with like their perks, you know.
And I will say, this job, campus master, it is not required to be a work study student to get this job. I do not have work study, so that's why I did this job as opposed to all the other on-campus jobs. So we are going to move into our final question. I'm going to ask this of all three of you. First starting with Kenzie, then moving to Ethan, and ending with Ziyuan. I just kind of want to ask, what's your Berkeley story? Why Berkeley?
Yeah, I mean, what a great question to end off on. I feel like my Berkeley story might be a little less traditional. I mean, I think no Berkeley story is traditional. We're all very unique and took very unique paths to get here. But what I mean is, like, originally I didn't really want to go to UC Berkeley. And that's just to say that I'm from San Francisco. And so I thought college was my opportunity to be independent. And the way to be independent in my mind was to get as far away from my parents as humanly possible. So I was looking like East Coast, Canada was calling my name for a brief second there. But being from California, of course, I applied to the UCs. After I got into UC Berkeley, I went on a tour, and the day I went on the tour, it was actually downpouring rain. But my tour guide was going around and saying hi to people. And that kind of blew my mind, because I had this misconception coming into UC Berkeley that it's a larger school, like, will I find my community? But even when it was downpouring rain, my tour guide was saying hi to her friends, walking around, and just like, I was like, maybe this is a closer knit community than I initially thought. And I can say that is very much true. So after I got accepted to Berkeley, I decided, hey, I'll give it a chance. My mom said, if it isn't for you, you can always transfer. So my story is more like why I would never ever transfer, and why I'm kind of a little bit bittersweet about the fact that my graduation is just around the corner. Berkeley, like I said, I thought I wouldn't be able to find my independence here, but I was able to find it in such unique ways. For example, like for my major, I really got to craft it to my own interests. Past semester, I took insect physiology and American wildlife in the 21st century, a concentration on Yellowstone greater ecosystem. Like, that's super specific. My family's from Montana. We go to Yellowstone all the time. So that appealed to me, but maybe not necessarily to everyone else. And I was phenomenal that I got to shape my educational experience to that. I also took a baking decal, another class that was very interesting, but may not be something that everyone's trying to take, but I just wanted to highlight that. Additionally, extracurricularly, you are able to, these opportunities are just phenomenal. And so you're able to craft your own identity through those extracurriculars. Never in a million years did I imagine I'd be spending my nights calling up comedians, SNL comedians, and like talking to their agents on the phone, being like, please, please, please come to UC Berkeley, perform. That's just not something I saw in the books for me, but I'm so glad, and that's kind of a part of my identity now. Like, I love being a part of the community of comedians out here at UC Berkeley. Additionally, another thing that kind of scared me off initially was the idea that UC Berkeley was competitive, but I can say that's not the case. We kind of highlighted this earlier, but this community is so collaborative, and it was reflected in my tour guide being able to say hi to people even on the rainiest days here at UC Berkeley. One of my favorite resources is the Student Learning Center, which is a tutoring center led where all the tutors are other UC Berkeley students. So it's students tutoring students. We're all about supporting one another here. And I think that's such a unique aspect of the UC Berkeley community and something you couldn't find anywhere else. This, I think, I just to round it out, why I love UC Berkeley and why Berkeley overall is never in a million years did I think I could find a school that was academically rigorous, where I was taking classes with Nobel laureates, but also taking baking decals and calling comedians, spending my Saturdays cheering at a football game, and then spending my Sundays studying in one of the 24 libraries with friends from all my different classes. I think this is very unique to UC Berkeley and why it's such a phenomenal community.
Wow. Thank you so much, Kenzie, for sharing. For me, well, like I said, I'm from Spring Valley, California, folks, and that's on the east County of San Diego, and I went to high school in Chula Vista, California. And my high school didn't really have a lot of resources. A lot of the things that we have here at Cal that I didn't even know existed when I was in high school. And I remember applying to Berkeley because my high school counselor just told me apply to every UC you can because you have a fee waiver. And so that's what I did. And I was waiting very anxiously for my UC Berkeley acceptance letter. And I didn't think I was going to get in because I had heard about that academic rigorous and like being like, you know, that's competitiveness as well. And I remember getting my my update of my admissions portal, and then I had gotten in. I literally like screamed. My mom also screamed. She was in the room when I got my acceptance, and I'm the first in my family to come here. And it has changed me so much as a person. I originally came into Berkeley being super legal studies, pre-law. Like I really wanted to do like law school. And then I started taking classes in like ethnic studies, sociology, psychology. And I really just found something that was completely different that I really wanted to do. And now I'm aspiring to triple major and hopefully go into social work after graduating UC Berkeley. And I wouldn't change that for the world. I am the example of the kids from my high school who were always told that we would never make it to 4 years. And that's what I'm trying to prove wrong, is that everybody has a spot at UC Berkeley, no matter like what your background or your identity is. You have a spot at UC Berkeley, despite what anybody might tell you. That's my Berkeley story, and that's why I'm an ambassador and I'm here with y'all today. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you, Ethan, for sharing your story and words of encouragement. I'm just going to keep mine a little short. It's kind of similar to Kenzie's, actually. So I am from Milpitas, California, which is like, I don't know, like 40 minutes south of Berkeley, like 40 minutes if you drive fast. And so I also, when I was going to college, I really wanted to go like as far away from home as possible, but obviously like I didn't make it very far. And so, and for a number of reasons, I actually came to Cal Day, which was like just this past weekend, but like 4 years ago. And on that day, like it's an open house day where you really get to like see the campus at its liveliest. All the student clubs are out, like the marching bands marching around, and like the sun just like hit different that day. And like that was one of the factors, but eventually I did commit to Berkeley, but I wasn't like fully convinced, you know, like I wasn't like in love. I stepped on campus, I was like, oh, this is like, all right, you know. But what really like took me, like what really brought me full circles when I became a tour guide or an ambassador, because I got to shadow one of the tours from one of my senior ambassadors. And at the very end of the tour, she gave a piece of advice to her, like to everyone on her tour. And I'm going to give that same piece of advice to you now, because I think it's really, really like insightful and helpful. And that is, actually, oh yeah, it's not May 1st. Okay. Don't pick your college, don't pick your university based on who you are now, because not gonna lie, like straight out of high school, like I was really like, I want to go somewhere with good dining hall food that's like far away. And like my priorities like were very different. But like pick your college, not based on who you are now, but pick it based on who you want to be in 4 years. And I can say like with confidence right now, like I am like 4 years later, like I am so happy with where I am now. Like every time I talk about it, I like borderline tears, because like I met like my 5 best friends in the dorms, and like we moved out together. I still live with them. We took like grad photos together like a month ago. I was able to like through the career center, I was able to get an internship that eventually led to my like full-time job after graduation. I was able to meet so many people that I love through like ambassadors, through my clubs, through like even my professors who like I really appreciate, because they gave me like the support and confidence that I otherwise didn't have coming in as like, especially as like a woman in STEM. And so it's like all of these like support systems that you find here, and you'll find yours too. And like this goes for like any university. So yes, pick it based on who you want to be in 4 years. And if Berkeley is that for you, then like great. Like happy to hear it. Also, I think there was like a quick question about like eventually the reason I didn't want to come to Berkeley was because it was close to home. But now like I really appreciate it, because again, I can't cook for my life, and like having my parents so close, like they always bring me food, and I know that's like their love language. And so it's really nice to like see my parents when I like want to, and it's also just enough distance where you like feel independent as well. And so all of that is my Berkeley story. So
I just want to say wow to all of those. They were all fantastic. Absolutely blown away. Like every time I hear any of y'all speak, it is truly a treat. So thank you all so much for that. Cool. So here's some ways to contact us. We were asked a question if we have a social media page. We absolutely do. If any of you are itching to become campus ambassadors, like all of us here today, it is such a fun job. If you also want to check out more of our recorded virtual campus visits and panels, they're available on our YouTube page. Please check those out. We have so many of them that are really wonderful. We also have our Bear Talk blog, beartalk.berkeley.edu. They're constantly updating. They have such cool and unique stories that they're able to go a little bit more in depth into. I, for instance, wrote one like a year ago about my favorite on-campus restaurant. Like, there literally is stuff for everything. We also have a U Visit Tour, which is a really cool like virtual walk through campus. If you get the chance to come to UC Berkeley too, please do so. Oh my goodness, it is so lively right now. I've been so grateful to be able to be back on campus, working in the campanile, giving tours. It's been an absolute treat. We also have this great hashtag if you commit to Berkeley. It's hashtag I am Berkeley. Go Bears. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone, to the panelists, to our wonderful back-end ambassadors, and most importantly, to all of you participants. You asked such great questions, showed so much enthusiasm. We couldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much. And I do want to give our panelists the opportunity to send off this wonderful virtual tour, and you at home as well. We end everything at Cal with a Go Bears. So I'm gonna count down and we're all gonna give a good Go Bears. Do it at home, do it wherever you are. Just let's all join in this Go Bears together. So 3, 2, 1.
Go Bears!
Bears! Thank you everyone so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.